The night was unusually quiet in the sprawling mansion perched high above the city. From the window of his study, Michael Davenport could see the lights below, a million tiny stars scattered across the dark earth. People moving in and out of restaurants, families gathered in warm little homes, lovers walking hand in hand. All of it seemed so far away from him, even though he could buy any piece of it with the flick of his wrist. Wealth had never been Michael's problem. Loneliness, however, was. He sat behind a mahogany desk, running his fingers along the polished wood, staring at the untouched whiskey in front of him. The silence pressed heavy, interrupted only by the faint shuffle of footsteps down the hall. That would be Maria. Maria had been working in his house for 3 years. She wasn't like the other maids who had come and gone, treating the job like a temporary inconvenience. She moved quietly, almost reverently, as though the walls carried secrets only she could hear. She was in her late 30s, hair pinned back in a simple knot, hands rough from work yet graceful in their motions. Michael often wondered what she thought of him. To her, he was just the man who signed her checks, the man with more cars than friends, the man who spent evenings in silence while the world lived outside. But there were moments, small, fragile ones, when their worlds brushed against each other. A soft smile she gave when she found him asleep on the couch, a word of concern when he skipped dinner for the 3rd night in a row, the way she lingered just a second longer when handing him his morning coffee, as if to make sure he was truly awake and alive. One night, he caught her pausing at the grand piano in the living room. She ran her fingers lightly across the keys without pressing down, as if afraid to let the house hear her. Something about that gesture, a woman with music locked inside her, too cautious to release it, pierced him deeper than he cared to admit. Have you ever seen someone carry silent weight, the kind that makes you wonder what battles they fight when no one is looking? Michael had built his empire on intuition, on the ability to see what others missed. And he could see that Maria was not just a maid. She was a woman with a story, perhaps one she could never tell. It was on an ordinary Tuesday that everything shifted. He had just returned from a meeting, irritation tightening his chest after hours of boardroom politics. He tossed his keys on the counter and noticed Maria quietly folding laundry in the corner. "Maria," he said, his voice sharper than intended. She froze for a moment, then straightened. "Yes, sir. Stop calling me sir," he muttered, running a hand through his hair. "My name is Michael." She hesitated, then gave the smallest of nods. "Yes, am I, Michael?" Something in her tone softened the edges of his day. For reasons he couldn't explain, he reached into his wallet and pulled out a sleek black credit card, placing it on the counter between them. "Here," he said, her brow furrowed. "What is this?" "A credit card," he replied dryly. She blinked, clearly unsure how to respond. I don't understand," she whispered. "Take it," he urged, sliding it closer. "Buy yourself something, anything. No rules, no limits." Maria's hands trembled as she looked at the card. She shook her head. "I can't accept this. It's not right." "Why not?" he asked, a trace of frustration slipping into his tone. "I spend thousands on suits I wear once, on bottles of wine I never finish. And you've worked here 3 years without asking me for a single thing. Don't you think you deserve at least one gift?" Her lips parted, but no words came. "Maria," he said quietly, almost pleading. "Please, just take it. Do one thing. For yourself. Consider it a favor to me." She looked into his eyes then, really looked, as if searching for the reason behind his gesture. And after a long silence, she nodded slowly. She picked up the card, her fingers brushing his for the briefest second, and whispered, "Thank you, Michael." At that moment, he felt something stir in him. A warmth he hadn't felt in years. Perhaps generosity wasn't about the money spent, but the connection it created. But he had no idea what door he had just opened. Because 2 days later, when Maria returned with the card, what she had bought with it would shatter him in ways he never expected. Michael stood in the vast marble foyer, his hand gripping the credit card Maria had just returned. She placed it gently on the counter, eyes lowered, her breathing uneven. Something about the silence between them felt weighted, like a storm waiting to break. "What did you buy?" he asked, his voice calm but edged with curiosity. Maria hesitated, her fingers twisting the fabric of her apron. I bought something important." "Important?" His brow furrowed. "Maria, I gave you that card to buy yourself something. A dress, jewelry, a weekend away, even. You've worked hard. You deserve." "I know what you said," she interrupted softly, though her tone was laced with tension. "And I tried. I thought about it, but in the end, I couldn't. Something twisted in Michael's chest. Couldn't what? She finally met his eyes. I couldn't spend your money on myself. He tilted his head, confusion flickering across his face. So what did you spend it on? Her silence was an answer in itself. She reached into her bag and pulled out a worn envelope, sliding it across the counter. Michael opened it and found a receipt, an enormous hospital payment. His throat tightened as he read the line, Pediatric Oncology Department. For a moment, he couldn't breathe. Maria, what is this? Tears welled in her eyes, though she tried to blink them away. It's my son, she whispered. You never knew because I never told you. He's 11. His name is Diego. He has leukemia. We've been drowning in bills, and I've been working every hour I can, cleaning houses, taking double shifts, but it's never enough. I thought I was going to lose him. When you handed me that card, her voice cracked. I didn't see it as a gift for me. I saw it as a chance to save him. Michael felt his body go cold, then hot, his heartbeat pounding in his ears. He stared at her, the woman who had dusted his shelves, folded his shirts, left steaming coffee by his side every morning, and realized he had never once thought to ask what her life was like beyond these walls. Why didn't you tell me? He asked hoarsely. Maria shook her head, because I didn't want pity. I didn't want charity. This job was supposed to be about dignity, about earning what I could. Not begging for more. I only used that card because you insisted, and even then, I almost couldn't go through with it. But I had no choice. Diego needed the treatment. Michael gripped the counter, his knuckles white. The receipt trembled in his hand. At first, when he saw the amount, tens of thousands, it had broken his heart. He thought she had taken advantage of him, that she had betrayed his fragile trust. But now, with her trembling voice filling the silence, the heartbreak cut deeper, not because she had betrayed him, but because she had been suffering right in front of him, and he hadn't seen it. Have you ever realized, too late, that someone close to you was carrying a pain you never even noticed? That you lived in the same space, yet in different worlds? Michael swallowed hard. Maria, he said softly. Look at me. She hesitated, then raised her tear-filled eyes. You didn't break my trust, he whispered. You broke my heart because you thought you had to carry this alone. Because you didn't believe anyone could care enough to help you without strings attached. A sob escaped her lips, and she covered her face with her hands. Michael walked around the counter and stood in front of her. For a moment, he didn't know what to do. He hadn't held another human being in years, not even in comfort. But instinct took over. Slowly, gently, he placed a hand on her shoulder. She shook beneath his touch, the dam of years of silence finally breaking. For the first time in a long time, Michael Davenport, the millionaire who had everything, felt powerless. But also, for the first time in even longer, he felt human.